we had written to New Tribes Mission because Bob Williams was at Bible school, and what he told us was, during that time we were at Providence Bible Institute, he says, I found something at New Tribes that I thought I would find here at Providence Bible Institute. So that was what drew us to New Tribes, is what he said. And so we sent our application in, but we never heard. We went to Maine for 9 weeks and down to New York for 9 weeks. We met a couple that worked here in Brazil from a Presbyterian mission and told us about a couple that had, two single girls that had been to New Tribes and left and sent us the letter, and these girls felt that New Tribes didn't think Paul Fleming didn't agree with all he talked about, and they went and thought that they were supposed to have a cabin. They were a couple, two girls, a couple, and they said couples had a cabin, so they got there and they were put in the girls' dorm and they didn't like it, and they were upset about that, and they were upset about Paul Fleming's teachings. And then they felt like the girls came back from meeting one night and was acting like Pentecostals and so forth. So we got all this in our head. So we told the Lord that we'd go towards California to the boot camp training. And if we got to Indiana, out west, in our minds in the east, Chicago was out west, that we had half our money went out there. We'd know the Lord wanted us to go to California. If not, we'd go south to Florida to the South American Indian Mission. Well, we left Maine and we went out on Route 30 all the way to California. So, all right, we told the Lord we'll go to Taylor University, where this Ted Smith, we were at their Noivado, their engagement party. I wanted to have a home of our own before we went to the field. And several opportunities we thought would come up. And then Corinth, Vermont, which was really our home church, offered Grandpa to be the pastor. Well, we would have loved to accept it, but we had already received the acceptance from New Tribes. So we felt the Lord said no. But as we went out to California, I kind of disappointed and not in real good fellowship with the Lord, because I didn't get what I wanted. It wasn't a real, anyway, I just had real good fellowship with the Lord. And we started on our trip, and we slept in our car most of the way, just like we did on our honeymoon. We drove off into the woods and slept for the night. You could do that then, and there was no interstates or super highways then. We took Route 30 all the way through to California. But we had half our money when we got to Taylor University in Indiana. We thought we were halfway across the country. And we'd go to California. So we started out. And before we got to Indiana, the generator gave out, and we bought a second-hand one, and that gave out. And then we spent a day having it rewound. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And so then we got to Taylor University, and we spent the night with Ted Smith. But we had, when we got to Taylor University, $60 left, half of what we had. Okay, Lord, we're on our way to California. So we went. We got to Nebraska, and at Kearney, Nebraska, and we pulled into the filling station, and the guy saw our main place. He said, "Boy, you're a long way from home." We knew that. We thought we were in California's back door. And he says, "Where you go?" And he said, "California." Woo, you got a long way to go. And we know today that Kearney, Nebraska is halfway across the United States. Then we got to Reno, just past Reno, Nevada. That's what it was, I think.
Yeah, Reno.
And 7 miles out, we the Universal went on it. And so Grandpa walked back the 7 miles hoping that maybe somebody would have sent something to Chico, California, the mission that would help us to get, we only had a couple of dollars left in our pockets, $2 or $3. And Grandpa went all the way back to, nobody offered him a ride either, all the way back those 7 miles back to Reno. He got in touch with the mission, and Russ Garber, who was the head of it then, sent us $20, I think it was $5 to have the car towed back to Reno, $5 to stay in the hotel that night, and $10 to have the car fixed. So that was our $20. The car would boil over as you're going up the mountain trails, and it was only a 2-lane highway, and these trucks would whiz by you, and you'd get stopped in the middle of the road because your radiator boiled over, and it hit the points, so you wouldn't go. You had to wait till they dried off. So we went over Donna Pass, 6,000 or 7,000 feet high, and the car started to boil, and we were praying all the way up. And so finally, Lord took us past it. We almost stopped, but we kept going, and we got up over there, and we got to the bottom of the willows, and we had about 80 cents left, and so we told the guy to put 80 cents worth of gas in the car. And we started up the mountain, and I don't know how many miles, maybe 5 miles from boot camp or something, we got out of gas. And Grandpa wanted to go. It was late in the afternoon. Grandpa wanted to go to walk into camp. I said, oh no, you're not going to leave us here with all the mountain lions that all those girls talked about.
I said, nah, honey, you stay here, and I'll walk up, see if I can get some gas and come on. No, you won't. You're going to stay right here with me.
Well, I didn't want Grandpa to go leave us. And so finally, I don't know, about near midnight, a car stopped and asked us, if we needed help. And there was somebody from the boot camp. Came back with some gasoline for us. We got into boot camp. But I knew the Lord wanted us, with all we'd gone through to get there, I knew the Lord wanted us to head to the mission field, and the way we had told the Lord about having half our money when we got to Indiana, that we'd go on to California and all. I knew, even though I was, upset or rebellious or something because we didn't have a place of our own before we left, why, we got into boot camp and they gave us our cabin, and the minute I stepped in that cabin, the Lord gave me such peace, knowing that that's where we were. That's where He wanted us, So that was our trip there to boot camp. One reason we didn't get our permission from the mission right away to go to the boot camp, the letter accepting us, was because the man that had written the letter, or was going to write the letter, I guess he finally read it. In the meantime, he was on this plane. The mission had a plane. And this last trip they made, they came back because they made a trip down. And then the plane came back because they weren't able to get everything down on the first trip. And they came back to pick up the rest of the passengers. Well, Paul Fleming was on that flight coming back, and he was going to go back down, but his son back in California was sick, so he and his wife went. But the one that was ahead of the boot camp was on that trip going down back to Venezuela.
Johnny Greiner. Isn't that right?
Yeah. I guess they were flying into Venezuela. That's what it was. Maybe not Brazil at the time. Well, the plane crashed in Venezuela. Maybe they were on their way to Brazil, but it crashed in the mountains in Montevideo, Venezuela. Evidently something happened and the lights weren't on the runway. Right. They didn't know where they were. or something, and they crashed into the mountain and killed everybody. So that's why we didn't get our acceptance letter right away. But then the mission bought another plane, and C-47 that was, and they had some of the men, Grandpa too, worked on it, changed it over to put passenger seats in and take missionaries to the field. Then that plane, we went in July. In November, they had a big meeting and everything, and for the folks that were going on the plane. Paul Fleming was on that plane. That plane crashed into a mountain in around in Wyoming. We were there. Well, after that plane crash, the mission bought the ship. And this was a sub-chaser. It was a small boat, but they bought this to take missionaries to the field. And while they were fixing it up and everything, the folks that were going on it, that first trip, they came out to boot camp and they lived in tents. Yeah, they called it Tent Town. And we met the folks there, and one of the couples, they'd already spent a term in Brazil, and we got acquainted with them. We heard all their stories and everything. And the ship, too, was planning to go to Belém, and everybody was getting off there. A few were going over to Bolivia, but I guess the Lord just used that, knowing these people, and the ship going to Brazil. Why we decided to stay in Brazil. So that's how we got to Brazil.